Okay, so here we are, it's about 45 minutes later. We just completed our testing out there of, oh man, a whole bunch of things. I had thrown it out of 6PPC about 100 thousandths. Prior to that, I had fired some Uber 108s with 30 grains of Varget. Got 2,700 feet per second out of the PPC case. I went out and set up my external cameras so that I could videotape myself shooting and the bullets printing behind me on a screen in real time. That was new. That was brand new. And while I was doing that, I also switched over to some burgers and promptly pressured out. Destroyed a case. Now I have loosened, popped out that case. I have the case here in front of me. We're going to go through and show the mechanism. What happened and why. Because I just documented what could be called a real major screw up. I just destroyed a case on camera. More than destroyed a case on camera. I mean, I locked the gun up. I popped the primer pocket loose. But here I have to interject something. My daddy done told me a long time ago, kid, if you're not screwing up, you're not trying hard enough. So I try hard enough. I screw up. And I promised when I started documenting this kind of stuff that I wasn't going to go through like everybody does and edit and clean up. I'll edit, I mean, at one point, just in the interest of brevity and clarity. I will get better at this as I go. I am getting better. My lighting's coming together. I'm getting better. Okay. But I promise you that when I'm doing this experimentation stuff, I've been fighting with people on the inner tube since about 96 when I started doing this. 96 or so, I came on Bench Central talking about hitting 2900 with a BR, and I thought the whole freaking world was going to blow up. You're an idiot. You're dangerous. You're blah, 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 blah. Well, hey, I don't live dangerously. I don't take unnecessary risks, and this was not an unnecessary risk. It was a shortcut. But I did screw up. When I screw up, I learn from my screw up. I mean what I said. The only way to not screw up is to not do stuff. I do a lot of stuff. Okay. And because of that, I promised that when I started this thing that I would document screw-ups and all, everything. And I'm going to stick by that. So we're going to go through this screw-up, but the trick is, and the reason that this is important is, when you go out and do stuff that's off the edge, when you're trying new stuff, this to me is brand new. And I didn't research. I actually went on the inner tube the other night just before I went to bed, and I searched 6PPC 107s, and I found nothing. That doesn't mean nobody's ever done it, because I'm sure they have. I know people that have done it. I remember when a certain person brought this up, I said, hey, I predict that we're going to hit around 2,700 with 105, 108 grain bullets. So now I have essentially completed my experiment in this department. It was going to take another, probably 3 or 4 hours, 8, 10 hours, of which I would document a couple hours of that so that we could go through incrementally. But instead, I made a screw up which just jumped me to the next level. Bam! I pressured out. I broke one of the big rules of reloading, and I do that occasionally. The big rule is never, ever change any component without backing way down on the powder charge. Well, I did a bunch of things. I didn't properly check my clearances. I didn't back down on the powder charge. And consequently, I pressured out a case. And what I'm going to do is draw some pictures and show you, because my thing is, to learn takes testing. Testing takes time. Sometimes you can accelerate testing by, in this case, screwing up. I pressured out way before I was planning on it because I made a mismatched set of components. I made some assumptions which were wrong. Everybody knows about assumptions. Everybody knows, but if you're going to go out and get stuff done, sometimes you have to take a risk. Sometimes you have to set off down the river and just figure, well, if there's a big waterfall, I'm going to hear it coming. I'm going to get out of the river. Been there, done that, been over the waterfall. Still got all my fingers, all my toes, all my eyes, all my ears. I hear well, I see well. I am extremely careful so that the risks that I take are calculated risks. And in this case, I took a calculated risk. And I took a 108 grain Uber, achieved a certain thing with it, switched over to a 105 grain burger, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to draw you some pictures about how this whole thing worked out, because it was a good learning experience. Everything is to be learned from. That's what this channel is about, is reality and facts, not a bunch of guesses and a bunch of crap from people who are unqualified to make those guesses. So what we have here, you'll recognize all the stuff that I had out there on camera just a couple of minutes ago in my world. Not a couple of minutes ago, probably closer to an hour ago, but it doesn't matter. These are 5 cases, bunch of things that were wrong. These are setup cases. I felt that they all had close to the same clearance. They were within 1,000th of each other, but they are not identical neck thickness. What I mean by within 1,000th is I was shooting for 2,000ths undersized, and they're within 1,000. So one of them or 2 of them could be on the high end of that, so they could be as much as a 1/2 thou oversized, and 1 or 2 could be as much as a 1/2 thou undersized. And understand, when we're talking 1/2,000ths, this is not simple. I'm in an unheated shop. I'm not doing this stuff by guessing, not by guessing by gully, but by feel and by gauging and by careful. So I knew these fell within a parameter to where they should be safe. When I first started this, I had taken the time to measure up some Uber bullets assiduously, and found the pressure ring, knew that it was, according to my calculations, between 3 and 4 10,000ths of pressure ring on this. Okay, so let me start with the pictures here. Now we're going to start illustrating pressure ring. Number 1, boat tail bullet, little artifact right here called a pressure ring. A little bump right here called a pressure ring. This ring right here is commonly referred to as a pressure ring. Almost all flat base bullets have it. They have a little bump right here. They're a little fatter. In my prior testing, I knew that this particular lot of burgers didn't show a pressure ring. Mistake number 1. My memory wasn't faulty. I was in fact correct. That lot of burgers does not have a pressure ring. This lot of Ubers does have a pressure ring. This lot of Ubers measured, let's call it, I'm just going to put this number out here. This is not the actual number. I used 2 good calipers, 2 good micrometers. I brought them in, I heated them up until they were somewhere in the middle of their adjustment. I didn't even try to show that because I turned the camera on. I tried to get the readings on camera. I ran into lighting issues between the bright white paper, the ambient that I have to have, and getting readings on. I was going to go ahead and show you these dimensions. But let's say that this dimension right here was 0.2436. I'm sorry, 2.26. So that makes this around here was coming in around 0.242. And I had everything figured for around 0.242. Now, I've got a phone call here that I have to take. So I'm going to have to come back in a minute.